Hey folks, this is Kalani. We're going to be having a little look at store mounts because this has been kind of controversial recently. There's been a post on Facebook and Reddit basically saying these new mounts and pets are super shiny and they're going to be new in Legion. And most of them are kind of store mounts. So the first one would be the Fell Hunter, basically the Fell Hunter but as a mount and then as a mini pet as well. That's going to be the collector's edition or digital edition mount. You know, basically you spend 10 or 15 plus bucks and you get the special digital edition and you get mounts, and that's the mount basically. So people are complaining that you have to spend extra money to get these mounts. The other one is the Moose. So the point with these two mounts is that these are two unique mounts that we haven't been able to get in the game thus far. They're pretty much unique in every way in that you cannot get a reskin, you cannot get any form of mount which looks like these. You get the Fell Hunter from the digital edition and then you get the Moose from the store. That Moose is going to come in the store and that Moose has been, Ghostcrawler promised as a moose. And apparently now you can have the Moose but you'll also need to pay for it. Now the biggest issue isn't necessarily that these mounts are in the store and just the store. It's that they're the unique mounts, because there's also a new recolor of the Heavenly Cloud Serpent for 300 mounts achievement. 300 mounts basically means that you'd need to get every single mount in the game available before looking at purchasing them anywhere else, and you'd probably need a few TCG mounts in there as well. 300 is a lot of mounts, guys, and for that achievement, which very few people are going to get, you get a reskin of a mount from the previous expansion, which is a little bit of a kick in the teeth. You know, it's like you've gone through all of this effort, you've gone through the entire world collecting the mounts from reputations, from gold, from all sorts of currencies, from raids, running them God knows how long, and then you get a recolor, whereas someone who drops 15 bucks, 20 bucks, 25 bucks, you know, depending on where you get these mounts from, they get a new unique model and you don't really have anything to show for your effort. So it's an issue of wanting to feel rewarded, I guess, for whatever you're doing in game. And I definitely think they completely missed the mark in Warlords of Draenor when it came to mounts. When you have so many different recolors of the same mount and the same model spread across the different reward areas of the game, it starts to feel like you don't really get rewarded at all for what you're doing. I mean, okay, I've done this garrison thing with my buildings. I get a wolf. That's cool. I went and got this achievement. I got a wolf. Okay, I went and did reputations. I got a wolf. I got raiding achievements. I got a wolf. It's frustrating to get the same model over and over again when there's nothing unique being thrown out there. But then it kind of adds salt into the wounds when they do bring out these super cool unique models for mounts which you can have, but then they just put them in the store. You know, there's no if, but, or maybe. If someone has that mount, they bought it from the store. So what would we like to see happen here? The first thing for me personally is that I'd like more unique models to work towards in-game with gameplay. You know, I want a reason to log in, I want a reason to go and do these dungeons repeatedly, these raids repeatedly, these battlegrounds, whatever. I want to be working towards something in-game. I want a reason to be playing different parts of the content, and mounts are just a brilliant carrot on a stick for that kind of thing. Reputations would be a fantastic one to reboot, because let's be honest, the reputations in Warlords were completely weightless. There was no reason to do those reputations outside of small fluff items, and even then, the old reputations before 6.2 had so little weight that so few people were doing them, but then there was also all the issues with how you can actually do reputations, and you had to grind for them because people didn't like dailies, but there wasn't even one daily. Yeah. Anyway, reputations were pretty bad in Warlords of Draenor, but there was no carrot there. There was no reason to go and do them. The ones in 6.2 have a little more weight because they have nicer fluff items. There's actually some pretty fun stuff there, and there's the whole, you know, you need them for flying, so that's a pretty decent incentive. You know, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about incentive. Mounts have always been a brilliant incentive for doing reputations, and I'm just kind of worried, a little bit confused more than anything else about why they wouldn't continue that unless they just didn't want to make the mount models, or they didn't have any ideas for the mount models, although they clearly have some ideas for the mount models because they're going in the store. Now, one example that I want to give is the Grinning Reaver. The Grinning Reaver is in the store. The Grinning Reaver would be the perfect mount for the Laughing Skull reputation for Horde. There's no reason that was put in the store instead of being tied to the reputation. Guaranteed everybody would be exalted with the Laughing Skull if it rewarded that mount. It just seems weird, frustrating, awkward. I don't know, it's... Every mount that you look at in the store could very easily be tied towards a reputation, a raid, or dungeon achievement in World of Warcraft. You can go back as far as the very first one, the Celestial Steed. That should have been tied to Algalon. That's the reason that it was so popular in the first place, because it was that art style, it was that kind of model. It's just weird to see that it went into the store, and then you go forward to Cataclysm. Heart of the Aspects should have come from Dragon Soul. It should have come from Deathwing, maybe. That's supposed to be the embodiment of the aspects working together, and it's a cool mount to boot. But then you have things like the Fey Dragon and the Sky Reaver, which are Warlords of Draenor mounts, just through and through. You could have had the Fey Dragon for some of the Shattrath business. You could have had something to do with the dungeons, maybe the raids, achievement-wise. The Sky Reaver, similarly, could be something to do with the Iron Horde. That could be a Black Hand mount, maybe. Achievement mount somewhere in the Blackrock Foundry. They tie in so well that I'm a little confused about why they weren't actually in the game as game models, besides the fact that people would happily fork over cash to have them anyway. Which is the most important part of this, obviously. They want to make more money. Okay, fine, the cash store is one way that you want to do that. So you're putting unique mounts in there for people to buy. Obviously, if they're not unique, there's going to be no incentive to actually buy them, so they won't fork over their cash. So if you put them in-game to earn in-game, people will do that instead of paying money. Okay, so let's go down that route. Why not give us the ability to buy these mounts with WoW tokens? 2 WoW tokens for any of these mounts is $40, which is more than they sell for anyway. Convert that into the gold cost, that sits, about 40, 50, 60k on a bad month for the US, and quite a bit higher for anywhere in the EU. That may need to be changed somewhat, it depends. But if you do 2 tokens, we're working with American currency here, so that's $40 instead of the usual 25 for a mount. But it's one person paying with gold to somebody who's already selling those WoW tokens for gold. This seems to be a very natural extension of what the WoW token is supposed to be and what it could actually potentially do. You know, you could suddenly use the WoW token for all kinds of services, and Blizzard would be getting more money for those services because it's $20 per WoW token, but people are probably happier to spend the gold as opposed to $5 less than what the actual value of the token is. You know, people don't necessarily care that it's $20. To them, it's gold. So that would be a nice way of doing things, but I would adore to have these mounts in-game from gameplay. That is something that was severely lacking in Warlords of Draenor. One of the things outside of raiding that people love to do is collect things. If you don't give them mounts to collect, they're not going to do anything, and they're going to complain about the lack of content, especially if there's nothing else to collect around them. Just a few thoughts, a few cents thrown into the thought well, I guess. But that's what I'd like to see with mounts, and I feel that's why a lot of people are angry with these new mounts coming, and they're coming to be basically pay only, which is definitely not a nice thing to see, especially when you like the mount. But that's my thoughts on the matter. If you have any questions, queries, theories, any thoughts of your own, leave them down in the comment section below and we'll have a good old natter down there. Remember to leave a like just below the video before you leave, and if you want to see more, make sure to subscribe. But apart from that, thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always, I will see you next time.